Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Friday, January 19th, 2018. Happy Friday everyone. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES right now. We're basically holding at highs. We've had a very aggressive start to the new year here and to the start of the month. And after we got this day right here, basically that range has set up a key range on kind of the intraday basis on the near-term profile there, where price is basically staying inside that range. Eventually, once we get expansion from that range, we could get the next major move, and that could be fairly significant. Right now that would be about a 40 handle breakout move, so above the 2810s basically would give us 2850 as the next major upside target. That could be dependent on. Same thing if we were to break to the downside here. If we were to break below this low into the LVN, that would be an ideal trap zone for bulls to defend and look to return to high. So not only would you be getting a potential trap entry somewhere perhaps off of 2760 up to 2770, but then you still have your original 2850 target, so you're maximizing the profit potential from that trade location. So this is a zone right here where we could see a little bit more pullback. If we did, everything's still sloping up, the LVNs are still there, and a defense opportunity still presents itself for a round of strength. But again, dropping down, let's look real quickly into the 60-minute chart. So this is the hourly. This is the range I'm talking about right here. Impulse sell-off, bounce back to the mid, and that's the key range right now. So you have 2768, 2809 half, and right now you have ascending behavior, which suggests an upside break at some point. But again, if price were to come down to this zone here, that's an ideal trap below the key range low that offers an opportunity to bounce it back to our highs and perhaps even see further expansion. So we'll see how it plays out, but this is the key range to watch. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. Here's the NQ, very similar on the intraday 60-minute chart. We have an uptrending market in the daily here, very, very bullish ascending pattern up here at the highs as well. So right now what you're seeing is at the highs we got another impulse range. We're inside that range right now, and that could be the range where we do further business like in the ES ahead of the next breakout continuation phase. So if we go back down again to the hourly chart, each of these are an hour, each bar is an hour. You can see right here, again, impulse sell-off to a bounce back up. That gives you a very clear key range to work off of. You have an ascending pattern here that typically leads to upside break potential. But again, any drop into this LVN below this key range low offers an opportunity for bulls to defend and return to highs. So this is a very clear pattern here that's developing as well. You'll want to mark the key range on that one. If we take a look at gold futures, gold here, looking at the daily chart again, continues to hold at these highs. Yesterday was a failed new low, which has led to higher highs yet again today. But overall, after you've seen this big wave of movement, we've seen a lot of back and forth, a lot of chop back and forth. Even if it has continued higher, it's still not in a great zone here to really trust a lot of the movement. It can swing back and forth as it starts to build out this range, perhaps from this high to this low, and that's what we could be seeing here is eventually a build out of that range ahead of perhaps a move to the outer edge of this key range. So we still have upside trending behavior overall, but it's in that zone right now where you could see more chop. So I'd be cautious on gold right now. Taking a look at crude oil. Now crude oil is very interesting here, very, very interesting. What we've been looking at in crude is also the same key range that has developed over here, and we've noticed price stay within that range for the most part. So what I mentioned recently to our group is if we get below 63s, that could provide an opportunity for the first wave of bulls to look to defend and return it back to 63.75 and perhaps get a 2-point move into 65s. That's on the small end of the scale. Now that is right where we are right now. We're right into that zone. We've recently seen a little bit of a bounce, but we were as low as 62.78. Right now, last price trading 63.09. So we've done a pretty good job of seeing a bounce from that zone. Even if we were to break a little lower, bulls would still likely continue to defend unless there's some sort of significant failure to hold market structure, say at 62 or 61. But overall, any pullback is still an opportunity for bulls to come in and defend. Failing to hold below the previous lows here, so say it closes above 63s, that could be very, very bullish toward a return trip to 65s and perhaps through that level. So keep an eye on this one. If you look at the 60-minute chart again, you can see there's the time where we dipped below 63, getting down there into the 62.78s. Here's 63 support. Each time it's gotten below it. So right now, 63 is where the absorption is occurring. So you have your rejection here. There's absorption. So every time price gets into 63, 63.10, it could be a short-term buy opportunity until perhaps we see a continuation towards 65. Now again, we still have major LVN support down below, so that's still going to factor in. Even if this were to fail and double dip, bulls would still look to defend this level until proven otherwise. Alright, lastly, let's take a look at XBT. This is Bitcoin here. You're seeing absorption here as well, but if we look at the daily time frame, we closed the previous session here right at the previous highs, basically pushed beyond it and closed right back. So it was a higher high, higher low, 2 days, which was just good. This is what you were expecting if price were to come down here into this zone. We were expecting a bounce. Now, how good of a bounce do we get? Right now, we have two highs that are the same here. We have an inside day. Today could be what's called a digestion day, where price just kind of digests this recent move. You get market facilitation all around that zone, where sellers are coming in to provide resistance, buyers are coming in to provide support, and at some point, perhaps the next day, we start to see a breakout. The next trading day, we see a breakout, and this thing just starts to run. Boom, we're back to value very quickly. The opposite can happen too. Say it could break above this zone up here, reject, and now we're going to double dip for a new low and push through this midpoint. But right now, bulls are doing everything that you would normally see in this area that would suggest a bounce back toward the mid and back toward value. So again, that would be somewhere between 14,800 rather and 15,900. So this is going to be very important. 13,000 right here is going to be very, very important. If price were to bounce off that zone, that could keep this thing going right lower. So there's several key levels here to watch in XBT, so keep an eye on this 11,300. That's the most important right now. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Friday.